There's a question that many thoughtful, successful women eventually ask themselves. It's some version of, why does this relationship feel so difficult when I'm doing everything I know how to do? I'm effective and successful communicating at work, but at home, you've tried everything to communicate more clearly. You've tried to stay calm. You've tried to understand where he's coming from, and you do. And yet, the same patterns keep repeating. The same arguments, the same pointless emotional cycles, the same feeling that something is not shifting. It's never going to get better. If that's been your experience, I want to start with something very important. You're not missing something simple, and you're not the problem, and it's not your fault. But there is something happening beneath the surface that most relationship advice never addresses. Most couples therapists never are aware of. See, most marriage advice and most of what goes on in the couples therapy office is built on one assumption, that both people are operating from a place of emotional safety. And so the advice becomes, put yourself out there, communicate better, listen more, express your needs. And in healthy relationships, that works. And it's great and it's beautiful. But in more complex dynamics, that approach often leads to frustration, stuckness, or worse, the weaponization of your vulnerability against you. Because the issue is not just communication. It's that the same emotional pattern keeps getting activated no matter how you try to handle the conversation. And that's where we need a different model. What if the real issue is this? You're not just in a relationship, you're operating inside a repeating emotional program, a pattern that involves your thoughts, your emotional reactions, and your behavioral responses, and his. And when those patterns interact, they create a predictable outcome, which is why you can walk into a conversation thinking, this time I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna handle it differently. 5 minutes in, you still find yourself pulled into the same pointless, futile emotional vortex. Because the pattern is it's not conscious, it's conditioned. Neuroscience and cellular biology both point to something very important, including, playing out in relationships, and it's this, that most of our behavior under stress is not consciously chosen. It's automatic, learned, rehearsed. Which means in your relationship, you're often not just reacting to the moment, you're running a program that's been reinforced over time. And at the same time, your emotional state is shaping the interaction itself. When you enter a conversation in tension, that tension will influence what happens next. This is just neuroscience talking. Conversely, when you enter that conversation from a calm, grounded, serene state, something different begins to unfold. This is why so many high-achieving women feel so confused, because in other areas of life, they're rocking at life. Their approach works. They take responsibility. They improve. They integrate feedback. They optimize, all the good stuff. But in this relationship, that same instinct doesn't create the same result. Not her fault. And over time, she begins asking herself a painful question. Why isn't this working? What am I missing? And what do I need to change? And usually the answer is not more effort. It's a different understanding of the pattern itself that's underneath, that's unconscious. The shift begins when you realize something simple but powerful, that you don't change the relationship by trying to change the other person. You've been there and done that and it didn't work. You know that. You change the relationship by changing the version of you that shows up inside it. Not through force, not through suppression, but becoming aware of the pattern and learning how to interrupt the pattern. When that happens, something subtle but powerful begins to change. The interaction starts to feel different. The dynamic feels less predictable, And for the first time, you begin experiencing spaciousness inside the relationship. This is exactly what we help women to do inside our private coaching. We don't focus on trying to fix your partner or endlessly analyzing the relationship. We focus on helping you understand the pattern, helping you interrupt the old pattern in real time, and help you develop a different internal state in your mind, in your nervous system, so that you can begin changing the dynamic from within. What many women discover is this, that when they change the way that they show up consistently, their relationship is a new relationship. It begins responding differently. Not perfectly immediately, but meaningfully. Now, this work is not for everyone. It's for women that are thoughtful, self-aware, willing to look at patterns, not just symptoms, and who don't want to simply walk away from their marriage for whatever reason. There's lots of valid reasons to stay. This is for women that want to understand what's actually happening inside their relationship and want to invest in improving it. So if that's you, this approach tends to feel very different. It is very different from anything you've read or listened to or tried before. So if you'd like to explore what this would look like in your situation, the next step is super simple. You can schedule a private call with us. On that call, we'll look at your specific dynamic. We'll help you identify the pattern that is kind of locked in over the years, and we'll show you what a path forward could look like. And if it makes sense to you to work together, we'll talk about what exactly that looks like. And if not, well, you'll still walk away with clarity. There's a moment many women experience when they realize this isn't just about him. This is about a pattern that we have created, and now I understand it. And in that moment, something shifts, because clarity creates options, and options create power. If you're ready for that kind of clarity, you can click below to schedule your call. We're looking forward to meeting with you on the phone.